Right. It looks like we've started and people are starting to trickle in. It'll be a big one, guys. So we'll give maybe a little bit of extra time for people to get in. But I'll start my spiel and then we'll get right to it. So welcome everybody to today's webinar on Canva Magic Studio. Thank you so much for joining us. Once again, like I mentioned, this series has broken Business Link registration records, and we are expecting a very full house today. I would love it if everybody could pop a quick message in the chat, just introducing yourselves, a little bit about where you're from, what you do, and then we can all get to know each other. I will start us off. My name is Trina. I'm the manager of the Digital Economy program here at Business Link. That program offers free digital marketing support to small business owners, and I'm happy to help in any way that I can get you involved with that program. But before we get started here, Business Link acknowledges and respects that we are on traditional land, meeting grounds, territories, gathering places, and traveling routes of treaties 4, 6, 7, 8, and 10, and home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge the lands of those who have come before us, reside here now, and in the future. These webinars are just one way that Business Link can help support your business. If you haven't already, please check out the services and programs that we offer at businesslink.ca. And that brings us to our wonderful hosts. Megan and Ryan are here from the marketing agency 910, based in Grand Prairie, Alberta. They're on a mission to help small businesses and entrepreneurs develop their brands. Excuse me. Develop their brands, establish their online presence, and become self-sufficient in activating their digital marketing strategies. 910 have a very special offer at the end of the presentation for attendees, so please stick around and take advantage of it. Just a quick note to keep us organized because this is such a popular session. Please put your questions in the Q&A rather than the chat. That just helps us make sure that we aren't missing anybody and that we can address all of your questions properly. If you do have to pop out early or if you want a refresher, this webinar is recorded and a link will be sent to you once it's available on our YouTube channel. So if that sounds good to everybody, I will let the 910 team take it away.
Thank you, Trina, for the warm introduction, and big kudos to the Business Link team for putting together these webinars. 520 registrants, I think, is what we had for this one. So second time in a row, we've broken a record. And I think that speaks to a hunger, a thirst for entrepreneurs and small, medium businesses to grab a hold of this knowledge that's out there, all of these new tools, to learn them so that you can be more effective at running your business. And so, Trina, I think you did a pretty good job of giving an overview of our mission, which is it's this idea that we believe that entrepreneurs and small, medium businesses are at a point in time with all of these tools on the horizon that you can leverage all of these tools in digital marketing and branding, and you can start to bring a lot of these activities in-house. Where one of the primary challenges for solopreneurs, for entrepreneurs, for small businesses is the cost and the extra resources that are required to do a good job in branding and marketing. And of course, the playing field has been completely leveled with all of these tools from Canva, which is the focus of today, ChatGPT, and lots of tools, even just the ability to easily publish a website or get online selling. But of course, the tools are there, but how do you use them? So that's the focus of our training academy. And so Megan's going to give an overview of Canva Part 2 today, which is really how Canva has married in some of the AI tools. And that's a follow on from Part 1, which was just really an overview. But really, if you zoom out, this is part of every month we have a webinar that we deliver with Business Link on multiple topics. And these topics are being drawn from our Digital Marketing Training Academy, where we offer, Megan, how many courses do we have? I always get the number. It's a lot.
We are up to 21 as of this year. So
21 courses. So this might be on email marketing or search engine optimization or content strategy or SEO or whatever. So there's lots. And of course, the well-rounded one is our certified digital marketing professional, which is also subsidized by the government through a wonderful program called the Alberta Job Grant. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Megan. I was traveling down to Calgary. I had a flight canceled, so it got rebooked, and I have to head to the airport right away. So normally I would stick around and monitor the comments. But just as a high-level overview, final thing, we're a full-service digital marketing agency. So the Training Academy is what we're focused on today. But at our roots, we're a branding agency. And so Canva is a lot about branding too, you'll see. But we do graphic design. We also do print production, and we build websites all day long for our clients informational websites as well as e-commerce websites, which again, if you're interested, there's other government grants to help small businesses get online and start selling. And actually those programs are through Business Link as well. So lots of great stuff. You're here at Business Link. You're in the right place if you want to learn and be successful as an entrepreneur. So with that, I hand it over to Megan. You're in good hands, and she's going to hopefully open your eyes with how powerful of a tool this Canva is, especially with their integration with AI. So over to you, Megan. Thanks for setting this up, Trina, and I'm going to head to the airport.
Thank you so much. Safe travels, Ryan. Good luck in the inclement weather, but we'll see you later. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I do see a question in the Q&A there. Valerie's asking if there's something like the Alberta Job Grant in Manitoba, and I'm pretty sure that every province has their own version of this, so you will just have to look up the Canada Manitoba Job Grant and see if anything comes up. I know that there's one for BC. I know that there's one for Ontario. I think there's some across the country as well. So this is just, we haven't worked with any of those other programs before, so it will have to be a little bit of trial and error and investigation there as well. So I also did see that there are some people joining us from the US. I think Michigan is what I saw. So welcome. This is crazy that we have so many people from across North America joining us. So I'm really excited to chat with you today. If you weren't joining us for our last session, if you weren't around for our last session, so part one, we discussed some of the fundamentals of graphic design for marketing. And graphic design for marketing is very different from the traditional graphic design that you would see in with Adobe Illustrator. That's the program that I'm looking for. So it's going to be a lot different from that. You're not going to get the same intent, detail, and those kinds of things, but it's much more manageable for people who don't necessarily have a digital design background. So we talked a little bit about the ABC design principle, which basically means you want your marketing designs to be apparent, balanced, and consistent. So thinking about that as we move forward today, that will help. The second thing we talked about was Canva brand kits. So keeping organized and making sure that all of your assets are in one place, which is so helpful for doing marketing design and keeping your designs consistent. The last thing that we talked about was some of the basic tools through navigating the editing suite and how to manage your basic editing tools. So we won't get through a lot of that today. We're going to be focused on some of the more advanced things with Canva Magic Studio. So for today, we're going to talk about applying your brand to AI, what that means, why it's important to have a brand strategy before we go into looking at artificial intelligence and prompting. Then we're going to be looking at some of the photo editing tools that are available in Canva Magic Studio and some of the AI tools. And then we'll start diving into some of the more advanced AI apps and Canva Magic Studio applications. So that's the schedule for today. If you have any questions, please go ahead, drop them in the Q&A. Trina's been on it, so thank you so much, Trina. I appreciate that. And if there are any urgent questions, she will interrupt me as well. So that's fantastic. So why does branding matter? I would love, in one word, if everyone could drop in the chat, why you think branding is so important to your applications in AI. I know we're kind of bridging a little bit of a logic gap here, so I just want to get your first impressions, what you think about when we're talking about brand and AI. I see a lot of consistency. Absolutely. It's huge when we're talking about our consistency in design, but also in our brand voice and how we're applying principles of prompting and asking AI questions in the AI world. Brand strategy is fundamental in that, understanding where you come from. Recognition, identity, brand recognition, all of that. Awareness is absolutely so important. When we're looking at applying your brand to AI, we want to think about it like our brand strategy is kind of our training document, right? AI is kind of like the best intern you're ever going to get. And if you attend our next session next month on ChatGPT, we'll go into this analogy a little bit deeper. But really, it's looking at, we have this really powerful tool that knows everything, but also doesn't know anything at the same time, right? They're super eager and are never going to get tired, but we have to train them in our culture, in how we want it to answer our questions, right? If you give an intern or a student an assignment and don't give them any context, the results that you're going to get aren't going to be what you need them to be, right? So if we look at brand strategy, really we're talking about the foundational elements of your purpose, your mission, your vision, your values. We're talking about your brand voice, the type of language that you want to use, the audience that you're trying to reach. So that fundamental information about you as a brand, that internal culture piece. One thing with digital media and AI, they don't get to exist in the same office as you do, right? They're not hanging out with you day to day. So they don't get that extra cultural context that somebody, an actual person would. So your brand strategy is your training document for your AI, right? It informs how you prompt. And that's going to give you the best digital interns, right? It's going to give you the best options for the type of material that you are receiving because you're giving it better prompts. So that's why branding is so important. We did an entire session. That was our first session actually in January. So that will be on the Business Link YouTube channel. So I really encourage you to go watch that if you're curious at all. If you didn't attend that one, I highly, highly recommend it. It's a really excellent one, and it will give you the basis for everything you need really going forward. So, all right, Canva Magic Studio. Anybody explored Canva Magic Studio at all? Kind of gone in there, experimented with some of the tools, anything like that? Anybody on the Business Link team, Trina, have you experimented with it at all?
Not to the extent that I would love to. I would love to just spend all day in Canva. But I have definitely played with it.
Yeah.
And would love to gain some insights on to how, to make that process a little bit more streamlined and better, and to get what I actually want out of Magic Studio for sure.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of yeses, a couple no's, you bet, a bit, but I got overwhelmed. Yes, 100%. And this is kind of why we're here today, because these tools can be very overwhelming because we don't necessarily have all of the information and knowledge that we need to be able to apply it properly. One thing that I love about learning and education is that before you go into something, you don't know what you don't know. And then as you start learning and gaining knowledge, you start to actually see how much you don't know. And that can inform the types of questions that you're asking, but it also can be very overwhelming. So I hope that by the end of today, you will feel a little bit more confident with going into Canva Magic Studio and applying some of these principles as well. So Canva already had some AI tools that existed. The background remover was an application of Canva AI. There was a little bit of like the magic eraser where you could like remove certain things, but there wasn't a good like host suite that took everything and put it in one spot. And this is what Canva Magic Studio is, right? It took all of the existing AI tools that it had and brought in even more. And it also brought in third-party integrations. So some of the things that we'll talk about today are the AI image generation. So I'm sure you've heard of DALL-E and Midjourney, some of the top leading ones on the market. So it brought some of those third-party integrations into the platform itself, which makes things a lot more accessible for the day-to-day average digital marketer, right? Where I'm not necessarily having to get 17 different subscriptions and platforms. I only need one or two, right? So this is where it gets really useful to streamline a lot of your design. So some of the tools that are in here, we've got Magic Write. So we'll look at some of the brand asset tools that you have available to you that ties into the AI. And then there's also a lot of like magic, they call it Magic Switch, which is you can turn a design like a poster into an actual document, or a document into a poster. There's definitely some bugs still. I'm not going to pretend that it's perfect by any stretch, but it gives you a really good foundational start to be able to repurpose your content in an amazing way. There's media, Magic Media, so text to video, text to image. We also have Magic Write, which I had mentioned. And then there's a bunch of different photo editing tools as well in the Magic Studio suite. So let's dive on in. We'll do a live tour. I'm just going to stop sharing here while I switch my screens around. But we'll look at some of the really great tools that Canva has available to us. Let's start in our brand. So I had mentioned something called Magic Write, which what you can do, this is a new tool that was introduced last year, I believe, in your Canva brand kit, where you have all of your brand assets, and I can scroll through here and you can see we've got brand templates, we've got logos, colors, or brand colors, fonts, and there's this handy dandy little thing here called brand voice. So you can actually go in and describe, you would write out a paragraph, how you want your brand voice to sound. So that could be energetic and excited, very knowledgeable. That could be more friendly. That could be more professional. That could be more academic. This is where we want to focus on our brand first so that we actually know what our brand voice is. And that's when we can start building in our AI tools. So this brand voice, when we come into our designs, we click on some text here. You can see this little button here that says Magic Write. This is really helpful for bigger documents. So if I was writing out a report or something like that, where I have a lot of information that I want to write, I can use my Magic Write button, write in my prompt what I'm trying to say, and it will actually use my brand voice that I've already inputted into my brand kit as the tone for the content. So it's a very advanced tool in that way. And like I was saying before, where we have our brand strategy as our training document, we don't have to train our Magic Write more than once every time we want to use it, kind of like you do for other platforms like ChatGPT. So our brand voice is already there. Our training document is already there. We don't have to do it multiple times. So it's really, really helpful when you're trying to do big projects like that. So very helpful there. Has anyone tried or done multiple different types of or sizes for your graphics, where you want like a social size, you want a story size, you want it for your Eventbrite page and maybe your Facebook? I see Trina nodding there. And trying to rebuild your graphic for all of those different platforms is difficult, is very difficult, and takes a lot of time. And I see that Anne is just saying, I usually resize for each thing I need. And that's exactly what this resize button up here does. So what you can do is you can select a custom size and type in the exact dimensions that you need. Or you can select something that already exists. So if I go into the social media, I can say I want an Instagram reel or a story, which are the same size, or I can say an Instagram post. I can also say I want an animated post, right? So that already builds in some of those tools. And you can see as I scroll down, you can choose anything you want. And there's a million different options in there for all the different things that you need. And you can see there's filters up here too. So if I wanted to say TikTok, then it gives me the TikTok size, right? Instagram, it gives me all the Instagram sizes. So it has just really streamlined a lot of those tools where this technically was available before. Yes. However, it was not this easy to manage because you would have to input the size every single time you wanted to use it and then readjust and all those kinds of things. So if I click again, social media, I want Instagram story, I can click continue. It will give me a couple different options for what we want to do. So you can see if I resize these two graphics that I have on here, you can see what it does in the preview there. You will have to adjust some of the elements. It's not going to be perfect every time because obviously the scale isn't a perfect ratio. With that said, it does give you a really good foundational start and has all of the elements that you need there. So great, great tool to use, especially if you're wanting to repurpose content, which as I'm sure all of you are probably either one or two in your marketing department. We don't have massive teams like some of the big corporations do, right? McDonald's has probably a marketing team of over 100 people. We don't have those resources, right? So we have to figure out these shortcuts to be able to reach the widest audience we can with the tools that we have available to us. Has anyone used the background remover before? It's one of my favorite tools. It's really neat. So I'm just going to duplicate this page here. And if I delete, I'll delete Ryan here. If I go into my photos, where are my headshots? Team headshots, there we go. If I pull Ryan's photo in here again, and I'm just going to click into the edit photo. There we go. And we see the background remover, BG remover, and I can click that. This tool works best on very clean, light colored backgrounds. So if Ryan was in front of a textured background, like he was standing in front of a forest or something like that, it would not be as good as what it just did, right? The really good thing, though, with this particular tool is if you click on these little adjustment buttons here, we can actually zoom into the picture itself and adjust where we want that background to be or not be, right? So I can adjust the brush size here, and I can either restore if it cut something off that it shouldn't have, or erase if it left some of the background in there. So if I wanted to, let's say, remove that little piece under Ryan's arm, I just shrink my brush down a little bit and I can come in here and adjust what that looks like, right? So there have been a few times where I've used this in an artistic sense, where I've taken actually an AI generated image, removed the background, and like taken out little bits that it didn't quite get the first time, or adjusted the image so that the edge looked better, right? So this is a really comprehensive feature and actually does a very excellent job for what it is. And not having to select and draw around. I don't know if anyone remembers doing that. I don't know, 5-10 years ago in Photoshop, trying to manually select the image you're trying to separate. This is leaps and bounds above. So this is a really fantastic tool, and I use it almost daily, to be completely honest with you. So if I reset tools, confirm, and now I can reset it and I can do it again. I can change everything like that. Yes, so time consuming in Photoshop. Absolutely. I see a question here. Can I explain in the brand kit area benefits of adding photos, graphics, icons, the types of things best to put in there? Yes, absolutely. That's a really great question, because that can be pretty extensive if you want it to be. When we're looking at brands, I typically only put the things in here that I'm going to use on a regular basis, right? So I have my branded icons in here that I use regularly. So if I go into the see more here, you can see these are all of our branded icons that I will use throughout all of my designs, right? We have a lot of icons in here, and these have all been designed by our design team, but there's a very comprehensive place in here for these. The caution that I have with using your brand kit for everything that you have is that there's not capability to add individual folders. So if we look at photos, for example, I only have our branded flat lay photos in this because I don't have the capability to add a folder for my flat lay photos and for my team photos, right? So I have my team photos separately. I only have these branded photos in here because it just makes it easier for myself, right? So when we're looking at the organization, it's really important to think about what you use on a regular basis that you need to be able to access at the drop of a hat. And it's really going to be individualized in that front. When it comes to the graphics section, these are our graphic assets and elements. We don't have a ton of individualized graphic elements. If you are part of an organization that does, I know recently we did, I think it was last year, we did a brand for the Peace Region Historical Society, the Peace Regional Archives. And they have, I think, 5 or 6 different graphic elements where there's like a swoop, and then there's some circles and geometric shapes. That those and the backgrounds and the textures would be things that I would put in this graphic elements area that are easily accessible to me that I can just bring over. Again, it doesn't have the organizational feature of being able to add multiple folders, but it is still going to be pretty comprehensive. And typically brands won't have an exhaustive number of graphic elements that they would need to sort through and sift through consistently. So having them all in one spot isn't detrimental, but again, it's really just personal preference. So I hope that answered your question, Tracy, there. So that's excellent. I'm so glad that helped.
Just a question for you, Megan. Where would you typically use a flat lay? Like, is that, am I reading this right? That's your background for this graphic too? Just super.
Yeah, so if I just unlock the background, if I double click on it, you can see that I have one of our flat lays as the background. It's just nondescript. What I've actually done is I will show you here. So if I'm just going to open up a new page, new blank page. So we have completely blank. I'm going to go into my photos here. I'm just dragging it over and make sure that it's set as a background. So what I just did was I right clicked and set image as background. So now if I select this, I can choose my transparency and bring that down to, I think it's 30% is in my brand guide. So now it's just a nice textured background. What that does is it adds depth and visual difference, but it doesn't overwhelm the image itself. So the things that I want people to focus on are still going to be the foreground and important, but it's not boring, right? It's not a blank white background. So yes, that is exactly what that is. Flat lay. Sorry, go ahead.
It's just such a great way of like, if you get photography done for your business, there are so many different ways that you can use this photography just to make your marketing stand out a little bit more. And this might be something that, maybe your audience doesn't notice, but you still know that you are using those elements that you maybe paid quite a bit of money for. And yeah, just.
And when we're looking at using like branded elements like a flat lay photo, right? It's basically just stock photography is all it is, but it's branded. And when we're talking about keeping things consistent, exactly like you said, Trina, your audience might not consciously notice it, but they certainly do notice it if there's something off, if there's something wrong. So it can be pretty, it's those really subtle details that matter. Those really subtle details that matter. So it is great to have those assets available, and quite frankly, very easy to set up and do yourself. We all have HD cameras on our phones. With the technology that we have available to us now, we all have that available. And sure, they're not going to be like print asset worthy. So if you're wanting to do more traditional marketing, it would probably be best to get those high quality images from a photographer. But this is very good to use at any point. So
yeah, great point. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So couple other things that I wanted to showcase. So I'm just going to click into this image again here, and I'm going to click the edit photo. So there's a few, they're going to load for me here. There we go. So there's a few other things in here. We've got Magic Eraser. Magic Eraser is really excellent for small details that you would maybe want to remove. It's not good for removing a big chunk of something, because basically what it does is it blends with the background. So it kind of just blurs things. It doesn't actually physically remove it. So if I go up to, I don't know if anyone can see, I actually have a nose ring. So if I click into my headshot here and I click edit photo, go into the Magic Eraser. If I zoom right in, you can see my nose ring there. If I shrink that down and I just do the top part, because that's like the background is one color here with, you can see the highlight. And I do the bottom part there. And you can see these tools are not 100% perfect. And this is what we'll talk about more with the AI chat GPT, is that because these tools are not 100% perfect, there's still need for human input to be able to edit and make sure that it's good enough, right, for you, for your assets. But if I scroll out, you can't see that I have a nose ring there. So it's really, really interesting to be able to see that. And again, if I just reset the tools, then my nose ring will come back and it's whatever, right? But it's very good. I've seen this used quite a bit if there's like a reflection on someone's glasses, or there's you're taking a picture through a window on a door, or there's like a mirror reflection, there's kind of some dirt or smudges on the mirror, something like that. It's a really comprehensive tool to get rid of those things. But if I wanted to, let's say, remove this coffee cup, it's not going to do that well. Some other things, Magic Expand. This is really excellent for expanding a photo that isn't maybe the right dimensions and you don't want to stretch it all weird. You can expand the photo to fit the full frame. So if I'm going to right click on this image again, detach from background, right? So if I do this and click Magic Expand, and go whole page, Magic Expand, and it will bring up some AI generated options for the exterior. This tool does not work on AI generated images. So if you are in Canva and you say, you go into DALL-E and you say, I want XYZ image generated for me, and you pull that into here, it's not going to generate an extension of that. It has to be an actual photo. And you can see again, it's got some issues still. Some of these are not going to be all that great. We can see there's smudging and weird wavy lines, and this is going to operate best when you have not a lot of detail to add into an image, right? So if you have kind of a clean, clear background, and I'll actually show you here. So this background here this is an AI generated background, this cupcakes one. And I took kind of a basic photo and I expanded the background, and all of these stars are AI generated. I think a couple of these cupcakes are actual photos, but for the most part, this is an AI image. It does work good when there's not a lot of detail. But as we can see here, when we want to incorporate more detail into something, it doesn't always get it 100% right. We can see that there's some issues with the detail there. So that's something to be considerate of when we're looking at the types of applications for these tools. Great detail isn't going to be the best. Okay, I'm going to cancel that, and I'm just going to reset it as the background again here.
I've got a couple of questions if you have a second, Megan.
Absolutely.
Heather is asking, when you edit an image, does it alter the image permanently in the assets, or just the image that you have placed on the canvas?
Just what you have in the editing canvas, right? So that is not going to change what you already have in your brand kit. The only way that you can actually change what's in your brand kit is if you take the image, edit it, download that photo, and re-upload it into your brand kit. So even if I actually go down here to I'll show you what that looks like in my team headshots. So you can see I have background and non-background images of our team, right? So what that means is that if I pull this image into this photo, right, and I remove the background from this photo is still going to have a background on it, right? And it's going to remove the background every time I change the photo, right? So what I've done is I've taken these photos, removed the background, saved them with the transparent background, and re-uploaded them. So that's, yeah, I hope that answers your question there. Anything else? Any other questions?
We have one more if you've got time. Will there be any similar sessions or any resources for learning Adobe products rather than just Canva?
From us, no. We don't focus on the more comprehensive professional side of things. If you do join our training community, there will be 1 or 2 classes on video editing. So looking at Premiere Pro and some of the other editing tools like TikTok and CapCut and actually Canva video editing. But we don't focus on those more comprehensive professional tools because they're so extensive and tough to learn. Generally, people need months, years to master those. So those aren't ones that we typically focus on. We want to give you tools that you can use easily, accessibly tomorrow. So yeah.
Love it. Thank you.
I do know that there are a ton of really amazing free resources on YouTube though. So if you're interested in learning more about Adobe, definitely look there. Okay, looking at some other ones. Okay, I'm going to go back into my edit photo section here. So we covered the background remover, we covered the magic eraser, we covered the magic expand. Magic edit is a really interesting tool, and it is fascinating to me because of what it can do. This tool is best used when you have things in sharp focus, because what it produces are things in sharp focus. So if there's something in the distance that you want to change, this is not going to be the tool that's going to do that. So basically what it does is you can AI replace parts of your image. So if I highlight this coffee cup here, and let's say I want to change it from a coffee cup to a bowl of yogurt. I don't know. So we'll go a red bowl of white yogurt, looking from the top down. And it is AI generated. So we want to be considerate of the type of prompt that we're giving, right? So we're specifying the color of the bowl, we're specifying the color of the yogurt, and we're specifying the perspective. Because if I just say a bowl of yogurt, it's going to give me from the front, right? Not top down. And this, it wouldn't fit with the perspective of the image, right? So the other things that we can do are we can look at the inspiration, the things that we can do. We could say make it brighter, which it will just lighten up that section. We can say add a Christmas sweater if you're wanting to make things more holiday. And you can be very general and vague. When you're working with marketing materials, it's best to be as spot on as you can. I'm just going to click the generate on my prompt there, and it will give me some options. I was doing this yesterday as well with a different perspective of the image. So if that one's probably the best. We can see that there's some great ones. If I click done, that gives me that part in the background. So there's some fun ones that you can do. Yeah, like I said yesterday, I was doing some of these and I had replaced that coffee cup with the blue coffee cup instead of what it was. So it's up to you. Some of the applications that I've seen this used for was photos of a job site. There was like a lunch kit or something kind of in the background, and they wanted to remove that. So rather than using the background or the magic eraser, which was not working for what they needed, they used the magic edit and turned it into a rock instead. So those types of things work really, really excellently. So these two tools here, Magic Grab and Grab Text, are very interesting tools because the Magic Grab, what it does is it isolates the foreground elements and removes them from the background. So rather than removing the background entirely, you're separating it as two separate layers. This works the best if, again, you have a clean, nondescript background with not a lot of detail on the foreground. So what that would look like is if I were to go into my stock photo library in Canva and I search, this is one that I was doing yesterday again. So cupcake on a clean image. This one wouldn't work because it would probably isolate some of this pink or the cherry filling there and a couple of the ants, and it might actually cut this ant in half, right? So this one is not a good option for us. This one, on the other hand, very much is, because we have some very clear foreground elements and a clean background that it will separate. So those are the things that you want to look at. These tools are not meant to use every single day. I use them very rarely, actually, because of those things. It's not going to work for what you need it to every single time. And it really only works in those cases. Grab text is another side of that. So if you have an image that has text on it that you want to move around, traditionally in a photo, so if I click into this photo again and I click grab text, traditionally this is a flat photo. I can't manage this text in the background, but with this tool I can, right? So it does allow you some of that flexibility where you wouldn't have necessarily had it before. It does change the font, as you can see, because basically what it does is it outlines the text and creates it kind of a text shape, basically. And you'll see this also in printing. If you have a professional print done, they need very specific type of font format because it's the exact same thing. It traces the outline of the font. And if you don't have good font files, then it will just completely mess it up. So it's the same type of thing here where it changes things around, but I can move this, right? Now you can also see it has identified it as a font and I can change that font. So if I want it to be back in our brand font, so Montserrat Bold would be our brand font. There we go. And now I've changed the font of that text. So it's a great tool. It works. It's not going to work again every single time for what you need it to, but it is a really comprehensive and excellent tool. So, all right. I want to make sure that we have time for everything as well. So what I'm going to focus on next is the image generation. So there's two really comprehensive tools in AI. One is DALL-E and one is Imagine. Imagine is the Google AI image generation. DALL-E is an OpenAI platform. So the same platform as ChatGPT, that's the same company that makes it. So it is really comprehensive. With these tools, you need to be very clear and very specific about what you're exactly looking for. So if I wanted, let's go on the cupcake example again. So I want a top-down image of cupcakes on a pink table. Generate. And this will give us options we can choose from, right? So it's going to be kind of very, very similar to like Midjourney or something where it generates multiple different versions for you to choose from. Again, Imagine is very similar. See, and look at that. It is an amazing, amazing image, right? And it's very highly detailed. There's a lot that we can see in here. And if we zoom in and get really close, we can see where you can see that it's AI generated, right? We can see that this is doesn't look like an actual cupcake. We can see that this kind of looks like weird fingers coming off of the icing. But when we're looking at it as like a background or something like that, it's beautiful. Are there any rights attached to these images? Amazing question. No, there are not. These are not copyrighted. You can take these and use them. It would be very similar to using free stock photos that you've licensed or found through the library in Canva. So you can use these for whatever you like.
How do you add DALL-E to the left-hand side?
Yeah, so that you can do through your apps. So anytime you search and use an app in Canva, you have to go to your apps first, search for your keywords. So if you know specifically you're looking for DALL-E, you can search DALL-E, but I'm just going to search text to image because that will give me all the options that are available, right? So we have a few different ones here, right? And we can see if we scroll down, there's Imagine there. And where is DALL-E? DALL-E is there. There's a bunch in here as well, Translate. So these are all third-party apps that Canva has integrated with their platform. Magic Media is their in-house platform. So this is the text to AI image generation that they have themselves. And you can see there's a few more customizable options, right, with this particular feature because it's the in-house version. So you can specify your art style, if you want it photo, filmic, anime, watercolor, those kinds of things. You can also type that directly into the prompt too. So if I wanted like a fine line image, I can type that directly into the prompt. And we can select the aspect ratio, which we couldn't with DALL-E, right? Are there any security issues with third-party apps? Not more than what you're assuming by using Canva as a platform itself, which it is a very secure platform. You're not going to deal with a lot of concern for your personal information, your payment information. That's all very secure and upheld. And that's not going to change with the third-party apps. All right, a couple other ones too. There is a text to video function in Canva as well. It is not good. It's not going to give you an actual video, is what I'm saying. I've used it a few different times, and basically what it does is it looks like you're shifting the perspective of a still photograph. So it's not an actual video. We're still waiting for some of those tools to come onto the market. OpenAI is developing their own as well. So there's that. And then there is also animate functionality as well. So you can create a custom animation with the Magic Studio, where you literally drag this through your canvas and choose the type of animation that you want. This is really great, as they showed in that little example there, for your little bumblebee following the flower, right? Or your butterfly flying through, whatever. So it's really great for that. There are also just kind of standard animation transitions like you would find in your PowerPoint type of things as well. So you can speed it up, slow it down, make it smooth and steady, adjust kind of some of those features there, which is really nice. We only have about 10-15 minutes left, so I want to make sure that I get into the special offer for today, because if you are here, you get special access to some very exciting things from 910. So I'm just gonna go back over to my presentation here and dive in. So first things first, I want to go over our key takeaways from today. So remember that brand is fundamental in your AI use. You want to have your foundational brand elements before you start diving into AI creation, because it's going to make your life a lot easier, because you're going to be able to prompt it much better. Canva tools and AI applications, use them in your designs wisely. Like I had said before, some of those tools are not going to be best suited for specific photos that you're using, for different tools and applications that you're using. So they're fantastic, great tools to use regularly. Some of them are going to work better for you than others. And then making sure that you are using future proofing in your digital strategy. So actually, if I just go back one slide here, I think I missed one here. But again, starting with branding is the best way to future proof. Learn new tools as they come, right? This makes the learning curve so much easier for you. If I had not started thinking about AI until AI video is available, now I have all of this background work to do before I can start using these tools. So if you learn and use them little bits at a time, it just will make things a lot easier. And then streamlining your process early. So building these things right into your processes as you go makes things much easier when your growth expands, right? When you're now servicing, 20 million people instead of 200, right? So just streamlining your process early makes that a lot easier for you. Coming up, we have ChatGPT. So we'll focus a lot more heavily on AI and diving into some of those practices. We'll look at ChatGPT as a platform itself, how to use it, some of the really comprehensive tools that it has available, like custom GPTs, where we talk about training your AIs. Custom GPTs will pre-train your AIs for you. We'll talk about email marketing in May, and then in June, we'll talk about search engine optimization. So the kind of more technical stuff associated with building your presence online and making sure that you're showing up in search. So don't forget those. And then coming up, so I want everyone to stay around because we have some really exciting things for you. So Ryan talked a little bit at the beginning about our training academy, and really foundational to our services and the reason that we exist, our mission is to make sure that small and medium businesses, entrepreneurs are able to execute all of this on their own and empower you to do that yourself, right? We're kind of really training you to put us out of work, basically. We want to make sure that you have the skills that you need. So when we look at learning kind of in general as a whole, this is the model that we try and exemplify. So we look at 10% of your education as like the formal textbook, watching the videos, reading the material, getting kind of the foundational information. Then we think about 20% as the social learning, thinking about looking at learning with our peers, the back and forth, those conversations, the feedback that happens when we're in that peer network. 70% is the hands-on practical application learning. I don't know how many times, and I'm sure if we were in an actual classroom right now, show of hands, I would be willing to bet 80 to 90% of you would raise your hand if I said, who learns by doing, right? Who learns by actually going hands-on? I know I do. Trina raised her hand. So many people do, and very few people actually are able to get things just with that first 10%, right? So that experiential learning is so key and core for actually understanding what you're doing. So when we're looking at our training academy, we do have the traditional curriculum, which this is licensed through the Digital Marketing Institute. They are the global leaders in digital marketing education and have certifications that actually qualify for recognition from the American Marketing Association, which is the leader in the standard for marketing in North America. So we have 21 courses. We have 16 short courses, which these are really just meant to upskill in specific focus areas. They're not meant for like a comprehensive education. You're going to get really great learning about email marketing or advanced digital strategy. You're not going to get any of the other stuff. So this is where some of the others come into play, like our certified professional. This is really excellent for your day-to-day digital marketing professional, right? The person who's actually activating things on a day-to-day basis. You get the full comprehensive learning. All of our courses do qualify for the Canada Alberta Job Grant. Like we had mentioned at the beginning, that subsidizes 66% of the program cost in combination with our learning community, which we'll talk about next year. So this is the first 10%. And as Business Link, you get discounts. So 15 to 20% off, 15% off of our short courses and 20% off of our 6-month long programs. Now, I do want to say that because there's been quite a bit of interest over the last few months with our partnership with Business Link, we want to make sure that we're still able to give you the quality of education that we pride ourselves on. So we are capping registrations for your free trial of our community at 20. So when we're going through this, think about that. If this is something that you really want to participate in, make sure that we get on that right away so that you get to be part of this. So this is the 90%, right? This is where we get that classroom environment. We have twice weekly live classes, and we talk about everything that isn't necessarily covered in your online curriculum. And we have these conversations and we have these one-on-one interactions as well. So this is really, really helpful for everyone. This is, again, the 90% of the learning. So your offer, I don't think, oh no, I did put that slide in here. It's at the very end. So your offer is the first 2 months in that learning community. So the 90%, that's free for you. So what you will have to do is go to either this QR code or follow the link here. And I don't know if Trina, you want to drop that in the chat as well for people to just follow the hyperlink. That'd be great. Follow this link here. We'll go to our landing page. You can fill out the form and be one of the first 20 to join in. So again, you also do get 15 to 20% off of those course costs. And if we jump right in with the community, as you're going through your free trial, we can be going through the job grant applications for your courses too. So we can do this together and make sure that you have everything that you need. So this also comes with a discount moving forward. So after that first 2 months, you do get a discount on the community itself at $175 a month. So you have really fantastic options here, and I wanted to make sure I covered that with you before we logged off here. And I see that there's a couple of questions here. So We have a question about the digital specialists. So this digital marketing specialist programs are not going to be best for everybody. Those are meant for digital marketing leaders. So if you are a manager of a whole team, those would be a great option. They are meant for people who have a really foundational understanding of digital marketing already. So if you have been doing digital marketing for a long time, or again, like I said, you lead a team, those would be a better fit and we can have those conversations. I'm hesitant to recommend them to everybody because they are more advanced. So for the average person who's just getting into this, it's maybe not the best fit. But if you want to have a longer conversation about what that would look like, I would love to sit down with you, have a phone call, Zoom chat, whatever you like. So will this benefit you as a nonprofit business owner? Yes, 100% yes. This absolutely will. We have a lot of not-for-profits that go through our program. One of the reasons is because there aren't a lot of really great programs out there, marketing programs for not-for-profits. There's a pretty big misconception that not-for-profits don't need to market or shouldn't market, but that is completely untrue. A lot of the conversation around marketing is focused on conversions and what the revenue is like, and that kind of typical business lingo. But if we're looking at a not-for-profit, those conversions would be donations, sponsorships, event registrations, that would be participation in different events as well. So I think Heather was here today. Sorry, Heather, if you're here and I didn't see you, but she is with the Grand Prairie Regional Sport Connect. And one of the big things that they do is Try It Day, where they have a whole bunch of different sports available and kids can come out and try different sports that they are interested in. And so one of their conversion rates, not the typical sales transaction, but it's more like how many people submitted reviews for our Try It Day, how many people actually showed up for Try It Day, how many different clubs came to showcase their sport at Try It Day, right? So those are kind of some of the things that you can look at when we're looking at marketing, how to get sponsorships, how to get donations, how to get more awareness and information about what you do out there. We also have done training with the Grand Prairie Emergency Youth Shelter, Sunrise House, where we talk a lot about awareness and just like making sure that teens and at-risk kids know that there is a place for them to go if they need it, right? So that is part of it as well. Does
I'll
this
just pop
yeah,
in? Sorry. Does the Alberta Job Grant Subsidy work with nonprofits?
yes.
Okay.
The qualifications for the Alberta Job Grant is either you have to be a T4 employee, so you can't be a contractor or a volunteer. You have to be a T4 employee, or you can be a business owner if that business is, I think, four employees or less, including the ownership. So those are kind of the big qualifications to consider. And you have to be a registered business or nonprofit to be able to qualify as well. Does this offer work on any course? Yes, any of the courses that we have available to you. So going into here again. So the training community gets paired with any of these 21 courses. So any of them that you would like to take, you would get this specified discount as well as that 2-month free trial in the community as well. Yeah. And a little bonus as well, if you are go through the digital marketing professional program, there's an additional discount to the community once you're certified. So keeping that in mind. Yeah, any other questions, any other thoughts? I believe this offer is not available for franchises. Is this correct? I'm not 100% sure what you're asking with that. Individual businesses that are part of a franchise absolutely qualify for this. So you can go through the Canada Alberta Job Grant as a franchise. That said, I don't think that if you are the business owner, you could go through and qualify just because it is a franchise, but an employee could. So that is a really great question. And I would definitely have to look into that because I haven't encountered that before. So thank you for bringing that up.
I know we're like right here at noon at time. Are you good to keep answering questions for a little bit, Megan? Okay.
I got nowhere to be. We're all good. So I have another question here that says, I have my brand guidelines, but that is not covering photos, icons, and some of the other details. Any recommendations to get those done? Software to create such branded resources. So those branded resources, I don't recommend creating those yourself. The reason being is because there's a lot of meaning that goes into those, and it's very difficult for somebody who's not trained in that to actually capture that well. And I've seen this a lot where people have gone in and actually hired a professional designer, but haven't done the work to understand the background of their brand. So again, that purpose, mission, vision, values. And the brand that they have, even if they do have the photography and things like that, doesn't vibe and doesn't mesh, and it feels wrong. So when it comes to getting the branded elements, the first step would be to do kind of that background work first, and then start looking for a professional designer that understands the concept of like your entire brand package. So not just the logo. I've seen a lot of freelancers on like Upwork and things like that they will give you about 1 or 2 versions of your logo, and that's it, and call that a brand. That's not a brand. So part of this is educating yourself on what exactly you need as far as your assets. And generally speaking, when you are looking for and shopping around for professional designers, you will want to make sure that you ask for assets that are digital media ready so that you can use in Canva in your own designs. But you want to also have ones that are professional vendor ready. So your vector files as well are what they're called, your SVGs, EPS files, where a professional vendor, whether that be print, textiles, vehicle wraps, anything like that, can actually use those files well. The other thing that you should be looking for are assets that are able to be used on multiple different backgrounds. So again, if we're looking at logos, for example, you want to have there's a lot of different versions of your logo that you should have. You want full color for light and dark backgrounds. So actually, if we go back to the very beginning of this slide deck here, I'll show you an example of what that looks like. We look at the business link logo here, for example. We have this on a light background. If I were to put this on a dark background, this logo wouldn't work, right? So when we're talking about assets, we want to make sure we have assets that are good for all different types of backgrounds. And the other thing is making sure that it fits everywhere that we need it to. So Business Link also does have an icon logo. So it's just the icon, not the text, right? And that allows you to be a lot more flexible in what you're looking for. So when you're shopping around, those are some of the things that you want to be aware of, and making sure that you have kind of those 2 different file types. 910 does full brand kits as well. And if you are looking for others as well, I have some great recommendations too. So a lot of resources out there for you, for sure. If you are curious at all about kind of what all of a full brand kit would entail, definitely go watch that first brand webinar on the Business Link YouTube, because that gives a really comprehensive overview of what that would all look like and kind of the background work that you would need to do beforehand. So I hope that helps. Anonymous attendee, we start by paying $325. No, you start by paying $0. So what we can do is we can get you in to the community for $0. We start our system. We do need to collect credit card information just to finish the application setup, but you don't pay anything to start. If you would like to continue on in the community, it's just a monthly fee. And if you want to take one of the courses, then you would pay that fee cost up front and get reimbursed by the grant on the back half. So yeah, I hope that helps as well. Any other questions? Any other thoughts?
Last chance, everybody.
Our attendees have gone down quite a bit, so I see that lots of people are hopping off. Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining. It was so great. Great conversation.
Awesome. Well, I will do, I guess, my closing out spiel, and we'll let everybody go. I see lots of thank yous in the chat and great session, so I'm glad that everybody enjoyed it. As a reminder, you will be emailed a link to a recording of this webinar in the next couple of days here. We are diving deeper, as mentioned, into the world of AI with a session on ChatGPT next month. So please register for that. It is live on our Eventbrite right now. That's taking place on April 18th. Same, still Thursday, still at 11 o'clock. That doesn't change. And we do hope that you can join us for that. I will say another thank you to Megan for sharing this info with us. And if you do have any other questions, you can get a hold of her at megan@910.ca. Or if you have any questions about BusinessLink services, you can find information on our website at businesslink.ca. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And Megan has something else.
Do see a couple more questions here, so I just want to make sure that I get those answered here. But yes, if you do have to jump off, please go ahead. We'll see ya. And time zone, we are in Mountain Standard Time. So if you have questions,
very used to catering to an Alberta audience. So yes.
Mountain is our time zone here. So I see when creating text for social media content, is there a platform that we can use to create one blurb and then adjust it? Actually, what you can do is use AI to generate your blurb. So if you go to AI and say, this is my post that I want to do, this is the content that I need in there, and the voice that I want to do, please create a post for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter, and it will create blurbs for each of those platforms uniquely. All I have is a business model. What do I need to join? I would love to chat with you more about that, because there could be some things that you could do to really optimize your experience in the program before you join if you're just starting out. So I would really love to chat with you more. If you would reach out to me, my email again is megan@910.ca. That's MEGHAN@910.ca. And we can have a chat, because I think that you probably do have we have some people in our community that only do have a business model and not even a fully fleshed out one. And they're really taking advantage of it. And then some others who it's still a little bit too early for them. So I think it would be best if we had a chat, you and I could better assess where you're at and if this would be the best time for you to jump in, or if we wanted to delay that a little bit. This video will be emailed to participants. You do get the link to the YouTube video. So that will be coming, I think, tomorrow or later today, depending on how quickly Julian is able to get that uploaded. And then I know Canva Pro does do discounts for not-for-profits, but we do not have any partnership or anything with Canva. It's just a tool that we use really regularly and love it ourselves. So we don't have any affiliate partnership with them, unfortunately. But if you are a not-for-profit, they do offer discounts for that.
Is there still an educational discount as well?
That's a really good question. I don't know.
I don't remember. I know they used to, but I don't know if it's still a thing.
So if you're a student, you would have to actually be like a registered student. But I think maybe I don't want to answer for sure because I don't know. All right. I think that's all the questions. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Trina. Thank you to everyone who came. It was great to meet everyone.
That was wonderful. Yeah, 7 minutes over. That, I mean, never happens. Super engaged audience. Well done, everybody.